Welcome to the budget list. This is episode 4.
This is not financial advice. This is balling on a budget, baby. Max edition. Are you hyped, Ted?
Yeah, I actually am pretty hyped for this hero.
Awesome. Let's dive into it.
Max the Hype Nitro, one of the newest CC adult heroes from the latest set of Flesh and Blood Bright Lights. Once per turn action, 2 cost, create a Hyperdriver token with 2 Steam counters. Activate this ability only if you've boosted this turn. Hyperdrivers you control gain Crank. Crank as a mechanic is new to Bright Lights, and it reads, as it enters the arena, you may remove a Steam counter from it. If you do, gain an action point. Max has 4 intellect and 40 health.
All right. So deck should cost kind of like roughly $50. It's kind of where we like to keep like our starter price point. And it can do some pretty powerful things. So we can just start off with the equipment. Achilles Accelerator, obviously cracked. And then we're using Cogsworth Head, which is what we got out of the new set, which is actually a very nice headpiece as like a budget option until you kind of upgrade the deck into one of the more expensive options because it lets you get a card that you banish randomly, which is nice. So like if you banish a Max V and you're like, shit, I need another Max V to finish this game, pay $1, you get that baby back in the deck.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's just for a budget deck, this is a good include. New card, and like you said, it just gets you back that extra card. If you're really boosting hard and getting blocked out and you just need a little bit of extra punch, this allows you to go and grab that. So yeah, nice little tech slot on a budget.
Yep. We have Galvanic Bender. It's just it's a 1 block. That's all it does. You could be running like Goliath Gauntlet if you want to just go like full aggro monkey brain. But the nice thing about the deck is it is basically all 3 blocks, and every once in a while you're gonna need to block a snatch. Just the nature of the beast.
Yep.
Snatch is a card that'll ruin your day. So you got 1 block, don't waste it. Use it on snatch.
Right.
And then we do
Star
have
of the
2
show.
Yep. We do have 2 pistol options in the deck. There's Hanabi Blaster, which is going to be for decks that can potentially block you out and try to fatigue you. And then we do have Tecloplasma Pistol in the sideboard, and that is basically purely for aggro matchups. So we're talking about like Phi, Katsu, Viserai, really are like kind of like the premier, like the Rangers are like if they try to race you, that's kind of like the premier aggro of the meta. Everything else can probably pretty reasonably block you out. So Hanabi Blaster is just great there.
Yeah, for sure.
And then because we balling on a budget, we don't have a no Teclo Foundry Heart, but we have the Heart and Cross Strat. So we have a lot of 2 cost attacks that we can lead with in this deck. So it's great for your Max V turns because if you are able to cast Max V, that's kind of what you want to do with the deck, and it's very hard for your opponent to beat 2 for 10. It's just the best rate in the game, and it will never be beaten.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, now getting into the deck, Nate. Scroll down here. This is pretty much it. The cards are cut off on the bottom, but this is the whole deck here. I'll scroll up a bit. Some of the new cards in the deck that are worth talking about. Dive through data. 1 cost boost when this hits opt 1. Really pretty decent card. It's a 4 attack, blocks 3 also. That opt kind of can help you out. Take a look at the top card of your deck. Do you want to boost? If you want to boot, it kind of helps you if you want to boost the next card or not, right? If it's something important, maybe you just throw the card in your turn there, or put it on the bottom with the opt keyword.
It gives you a lot of different modalities, and it's kind of like the like the Kano upgrades from Dynasty, where it's like on their face they don't look great, but the ability to opt one off of the hit is amazing. Because like, let's say you see a crankshaft on top, you're like, "Oh, baby. Yup, crankshaft. Best card in
Hmm.
the deck because it gives you a steam counter back on your hyperdriver. Um, we're keeping it." Or you can be like, "Ooh, you know what? I like it's a max V. I will just not attack with this last card. I will set it in my arsenal, and I'll set up and hopefully have a big max V turn." So it gives you a
Hmm.
lot of modality, and gives you more information to just kinda, like, plan around. So it's I think they're really good upgrades, in general, and I think it just makes the deck more consistent and strong.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, we've kind of already spoiled this one, but another key card in this deck is Max Velocity. This was reprinted in Bright Lights, but reads play only if you boosted 3 or more times this turn, attacks for 10, blocks for 3, costs 2. Yeah, this is what you're wanting to set up. It also plays into your Hanabi Blaster game plan very well, right? You're going to be trying to boost 2 times to get the Hanabi blaster counters up, so that you can attack with it. So, it's your big boy, right? The thing that you're trying to, hit people with.
Yep. If you can like, especially into decks that want to block you out, you wanna combine this your max V with a Hanabi Blaster, because that alone is 15 damage out of basically 2 cards. So, like, you're gonna cast max V, and then you're gonna pop Achilles Accelerator, and then Hanabi Blaster them.
Hmm.
And that's 15 on its own, and that does not include the first 3 attacks that you threw
Right.
at them.
Yeah.
So, like, you're talking about sending, like, 25 plus damage at your opponent
Hmm.
who's trying to block you out. It's just not going to be very successful. So like that, and then also being able to recur this with the Cogsworth head.
Hmm.
If you do end up boosting one, like just casting 2 or 3 of these. If you cast 3, I don't think there's a deck that can actually fatigue you. Um,
Right. Yeah,
but like 2 is usually pretty good and good enough to end games. So
for sure. All right. Another card worth noting, not a new card, but Scramble Pulse. So this is 2 cost boost card, attacks for 5, blocks for 3. Has the text equipment have -1 while defending this combat chain. Yeah, another nice little tech card here. You can attack, makes it hard to block, and then you can also attack temper equipment with this as well.
yep. So the nice, like, especially with Teklo Vossen coming in this set, he's gonna have a lot of temper equipment that's very important to him. So what you can do is like I sneak this onto the chain after he's blocked with temper equipment, and it will when the chain gets closed, the temper equipment will explode. So, like, let's say
Hmm.
you bait him out with blocking like an overloop because he doesn't want you to recur that piece early in the chain and taking his like equipment down the one, and then you scramble pulse.
Yep.
Like it's that alone is very backbreaking for them. It's
Yep.
also very good into just decks with armor who are gonna try and block you out because it makes it very hard for them to block out big turns like a max V turn. So if you go like heart and cross strap into this and then go 3 wide, ending on max V and Hanabi Blaster,
Yeah.
like it is hard for any deck to not take like 20 damage on those types of turns.
Yeah. Yeah. Tekla obviously, you might be saying at home, saying to your television right now, hey, but Tekla can play Evos. It's instance. He can get around that temper. He can get around, his blade, things like that breaking. Yeah. But then they also have to take damage to pay 3 to then play their next Evo to re equip that Evo. So, yeah, even, you might catch them off guard, or if they're savvy and they see this coming, they still have to take, eat some damage to pay for his ability and pay for the
Yep.
Evo to replace it. So you kind of win-win situation against Tekla Vossen. And as you mentioned, Nate, against other temper equipment, really good. Especially if you can kind of draw the blocks in early and then play this and blow up their card when it matters the most.
Yep. Yep. I so obviously, like, paying 2 to just create a hyperdriver is great value. And Max is not someone who's gonna be coming out of the gates just, like, guns blazing. He's someone who, like, he once he gets 1 or 2 hyperdrivers on the field, he can almost, like, continuously loop them because he's just gonna have resources left over because he will have so many resources,
Hmm.
from all of the hyperdrivers he has available, and it makes maximum velocity very easy to cast.
Yep.
Um, like, I've cast max velocities on turns that cost a total of 6 just because of, like, I have 3 hyperdrivers in play and I pitch a blue. So I go, like, 2 cost, 2 cost,
Hmm.
0 cost into like, it and those turns are freaking, like, 30 plus damage because
Hmm.
you're casting, like, a throttle into, like, overloop, into 0 to 60, into max V, and it's just
Yeah.
like, how will they ever financially recover? No one actually knows.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, so on top of the Hanabi Blaster game plan, I guess, yeah, as we look through the deck of the cards in the deck right now, it sounds like, you want to build up your hyperdrivers, maybe early on, take some time. You obviously, I pulled it up here. You have some hyperdrivers in your deck as well. Note that the token hyperdriver that Max creates enters the arena with 2. You crank it down to 1, um, if you need to, or you can end the chain with his ability and leave it at 2, which is, sometimes that works out. But yeah, so like you had said, Nate, you want to build up that resource base and then set up those big max velocity turns.
yeah, and into the aggro decks, you're gonna try to build up that resource base and then leverage that to take tempo back. So, like, leveraging your 0 cost boost cards and then go like your 0 cost boost card into a 2 cost boost card without boosting a card, and it's like that's a 2 card 10 without boosting a single card, but, like, that's the kind of, like, damage that you can output with this deck while still blocking on the back end. So,
Hmm.
um, you're able to gain a lot of leverage and tempo that way too. So, um, as we always do as well here, we wanna provide the upgrade path,
Yes.
with this deck. And there's actually we're gonna cover the main one,
Hmm.
which is kind of just like the straightforward aggro plan, but there's actually 2, and we'll talk about the other one as well. So, prices are all over the place on a lot of these cards, so we
Hmm.
don't actually have the price points right now. Um, Pulse Wave Harpoons might set you back like $45,
Yeah.
for a playset, but it's honestly, this card is the best card Mechanologist has access to.
Yep.
Um, so it's just insane. Boost you if you boost with this card, you can reveal X from their hand with X is the number of times they boosted this turn. They reveal that number of cards. So if you're 3 chain links down, they have to show you at least 3 cards, and you can pull a 3 block out of their hand, which into a lot of decks can just cripple their turn.
Yep.
Especially if they've committed another card to the combat chain,
Yeah.
you get to see what they are working with for the entire turn and just cripple it, which is
Yep.
great value. Um, and
Yeah.
then
It can just shut you down for sure.
Yep. Twin Drive, we have no idea where the price point's gonna fall on this one, but I think this will be played in pretty much every mech deck, so I would be suspicious if it was less than $10. So,
Yeah.
um,
Especially
but
early on. I think, in the
Yep,
next couple weeks as we get close to, I think when this video drops will be a couple days ahead of release, but the next week and just after release, $10 plus is probably where this is going to be sitting at, just because um, it does the thing that this whole deck wants to do, and even the non-budget versions of Max and Dash want to do, right? Twin Drive it essentially has boost on it twice, so you can boost twice with one card. Cost 2, attacks for 5, blocks 3. Um, but yeah, just getting that double boost off and then only having to boost one more time to play Max V is chef's kiss.
yep.
Yeah, it's
And
really
it
good.
also yeah, it also combos really well with Pulse Wave Harpoon.
Oh
Um,
yes.
so, like, the how many times you boost matters cards, Twin Drive is excellent for that.
Yep.
Um And then, next I think the next most important upgrade is gonna be Tekla Foundry Heart. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just getting if you didn't have access to enough free resources, here's another one.
Yep.
Uh, so like you can get access to just like so many. You can operate off of one blue, but pay for 6, 7 resources worth of cards, depending on how many hyperdrivers you have on the field. Right now, the card I think is sitting around $100. So I think the once Bright Lights comes out, the non-foil version will probably fall into like the 60, 70 range.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I bet you, it does fall, 50 to 70 range somewhere in there.
Mhm.
And so it'll be pretty accessible once, everything, the release kind of cools down for
Yep.
sure. So yeah, that'd be great for this deck to
Yep.
slot that upgrade in. And then the other one here, Nate, is the Hyper X3. This is a new legendary that's coming out in bright lights. Um, yeah, I think it's just something that you can slot in quite easily. I bet you could probably find the rainbow foil version of this card a week out of release fairly affordable,
Mhm.
and it helps you out with your hyperdriver plan if you need it.
Yep. And the the deck does change a little bit when you bring this in. You probably play 9 hyperdrivers because if this headpiece ever draws you a card, it's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just imagine you're going along, boosting your turn, and you just like randomly add 4 or 5 damage to your turn. Just for like a turn that you already have planned out that's probably above rate, and then it's like,
Yeah,
oh, look at this, I got another boost card.
yeah, yeah. Ooh, piece of candy.
um, ooh,
Yeah,
pizza candy, yes,
yeah.
exactly. So the deck would change a little bit. You're probably I think the like and one of the things that people have asked for too is like what are you cutting in these scenarios? So I think yellow throttle is probably one of the first cuts. And then once you get Tekla Foundry Heart, I think you can trim blues a little bit as well. So like you
Mm-hmm.
might be able to go down to like maybe like 1920 blues. So you can trim there. And then when you bring in Twin Drive as well, you're probably cutting one of the some of the two costs
Mm-hmm.
boosty cards for Twin Drive because you want to keep your ratios kind of in line there. And then Pulse Wave Harpoon is probably going to replace maybe like yellow Zipper Hit or maybe one of the red 0 for threes. It just kind of depends
Yeah.
on your play style and what you're seeing that
Yep.
you like. Um, and the other, I'll just give a quick mention to is you can also take this in the path of Nitro Mechanoid
Mm-hmm.
because I think Max is an excellent Nitro Mechanoid deck, and Hyper X is actually very good for that Nitro Mechanoid deck too. And instead of Pulse Wave Harpoon and Twin Drive, you would just put in High Octane and Nitro Mechanoid.
Mm-hmm.
And well, you'd probably still play Pulse Wave if you have them, but
Yeah.
um, you're more swapping over to try to set up more of a like a combo game plan, so you can be relatively aggressive, and then like you'll randomly nitro mechanoid, and if you can high octane and swing nitro mechanoid for free a couple times, that's broken.
Yep.
That is very broken.
Yep.
Um, so, um, but obviously that's not not going to make a budget list, but is one thing
Mm-hmm.
to look at as well. So with this as well, like we'll post the link in the description for the deck tech, and the link will have full sideboard breakdown for every matchup within
Yep.
reason.
For sure.
Sorry, Arachne, I don't care about you.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I think, that's one of the exciting things about Bright Lights, Nate, is that, we did our dash deck tech. It looked very similar to this
Mhm.
budget deck. It was a budget deck as well. But I think Max is suited better for this style of
Yes.
deck. It definitely gives
Yeah.
you a little bit more of an edge to start with. I think you're definitely winning some games at your local armory with this. Um,
100%.
and I think it's just a fun deck. It's great to sleeve up and hand out to new people as well. And
Yep.
let us know, comment below if you sleeved it up and handed it out or played it yourself and how it went.
Yeah. Let us know, people, and just remember, go fast and smash, baby. Woo!
For sure. Until next time, see you, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.